If it's safe to do so, close your eyes and imagine what it would be like to walk through a crowded city during rush hour with your eyes closed. If you are blind or visually impaired, you are probably well acquainted with that day-to-day challenge of navigating our urban centers. But for many of us, the disparity of accessibility in cities goes unseen. 285 million visually impaired people worldwide must traverse an urban area every day. Hello and welcome to another episode of Preview of Tomorrow. I am your host, Mike Lake, and in this preview, I will be talking with René Espinoza, whose company, Lazarido, has developed a solution to help the blind and visually impaired navigate and access the world's cities, a privilege many of us take for granted.
Innovation, resiliency, discovery. Join Mike Lake, President and CEO of Leading Cities, as we explore the technologies shaping the possibilities of our future with a preview of tomorrow.
Hello and welcome, René. Thank you so much for joining us. And once again, welcome to all of you, our listeners. I'd like you to introduce you to René Espinoza. He is the founder and CEO of Lazarillo, a company from Santiago, Chile, that has created an intelligent application for the blind and visually impaired to help them navigate urban environments, something we all take for granted on too often an occasion. Now, René, let's just start by understanding how is it that you got involved in this topic, this challenge for so many people?
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for this invitation. Well, I started working on health and well-being actually when I was really young. At the age of 13 years old, I decided to dedicate my life on this. I didn't want to be a doctor, but I wanted to create tools. So I then decided to study engineering. And then when I was studying electrical engineering, I also worked with a medical institution. And that got me connected to working with physicians, neurologists, and also people with reduced mobility, also in some cases with a disability, with a visual disability also. And that led me to check like user problems in ways like and how people could, for example, someone with a visual disability, how they were having some issues on navigation or going to places. And then that one thing led to another, was my thesis project as a prototype, and then I decided to make it a startup. That's how a little bit the story was.
Well, that's terrific. I mean, as I said, so many of us take for granted our ability to navigate a city, to see our way through, to cross the street without issue. Clearly, that's not the case for all of us. In fact, as I understand it, there's almost 300 million people worldwide that suffers from some form of visual impairment, making it more difficult, to say the least. So tell me, what is that experience like for an individual that has a visual impairment? How do they navigate? What are the dangers? Explain to us exactly what that experience is like.
Sure. So I can start with the story of a friend that I met him. So his name is Rodrigo. I met him when he was 32 years old. He actually turned blind at 30 due to a virus. Imagine that, and then he had a career, and then he started again in a way. And one of the things he mentioned to me really early on is like, in order for him to go to his doctor's appointment, he either go with his cousin, or he needed to actually do it by himself, and took him 2 hours just to reach the doctor's appointment. And so that was like a huge waste, because when he needed to wait for his cousin, and that took him like 25 minutes to reach the destination. Of course, you can pay a taxi, but let's say that not all people have the money to pay taxis or Uber every day or every week. So it was a waste of time for him, and also it reduced his possibilities, right? And so I think that what we're doing is not only as a navigation tool, but also as a way to increase possibilities for this community. And so that was one of the issues that our community has, and we're solving it.
So, I mean, I described, and now you've described the challenge of navigating the city kind of from getting point A to point B. But it occurs to me that it's not just about navigating our sidewalks and our streets. It's also when you get to that destination, there's challenges still. What does somebody? How do they navigate internally, whether it's a museum or a restaurant or whatnot?
Sure. So currently, so without our solution, they could, if they don't have a guide dog or they're using just a cane, and they don't know the place by memory, they probably need to shout out for help. Like, please come, somebody help me. Some places have someone at the door, some places don't, especially now due to social distancing. Things are more electronically, and if you are not able to see them, like, it's difficult to find them. But this is an issue that it can relate to anyone when you go to a new place, a huge place, and you're lost and you lose time finding your way around. Could be from a doctor's appointment, but also in an airport or any location. And at the end is how we can connect information with citizens in a more smarter way, because the information is out there, it exists, but it's not being connected in a way that the user can easily use. And so I think that's other important issue that we're solving.
And I'll say what I'm hearing and trying to put myself into somebody else's shoes here is that if you're not familiar with a place, it's an uncomfortable experience.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I wonder how many folks who would like to travel somewhere or might even need to travel somewhere choose not to do it because of that discomfort, because of that challenge. That, like I said, all of us take for granted.
Yeah, I think there's a huge population, especially not only the person, but also the relatives, that in a way, this is not only meant for like going to an appointment, but also have fun, right?
Sure.
And so tourism, of course, now we're all back home, and I think there's a lot of people that, and I myself want to go out much more than like I'm a little bit sick of being home. But yeah, like the option here is to how we can provide like all opportunities to as much citizens as we can in a simple and smart way, so that these citizens can develop more and actively participate in society.
So let's talk a little bit about Lazarillo and just how this does solve such an important challenge, such a basic need as being able to navigate a community safely and comfortably. You mentioned, the ability of a CNI dog or those types of aids and support systems. I know for such training, I mean, it's a massive expense, almost $50,000 by time a dog is prepared to serve in that capacity. That's not an option for a lot of people. So this is where Lazarillo comes in, right? Tell us, how does this solution work, and what is that experience like for the user?
Yeah, well, you're right that having a CNI dog is not an easy task. In a way, we are a really good complement, and also let's say that we believe that as a tool, we need to complement everyone from the person that has already a CNI dog, and also from the person that doesn't have it, because we do things in a way differently. What it does, Lazarillo, is that it provides information to the end user that he might not be known before. Like, he will not know if there is a new place, how things is the layout, right? Or if they're, I don't know, in a new city, what are the things to do here, right? So what we do is that we create a mobile app that in a way works everywhere. We have users in 45 countries. And what it does provides a lot of tools that help the user navigate. And so in the same story of Rodrigo, when he first started using the app, he reduced his time from 2 hours to 30 minutes. So it was not 25, but 30 minutes. So that is like 3 hours. You sum that going and going back to your home, 3 hours more than he has. And then with this tool, he was also be able to encourage more things, like it's a navigation platform that allows them to go anywhere. He also felt more independent. He was more independent, and then he created more opportunities for him. He actually now teaches other people how to use assistive technology, and he's working right now. So what we have discovered, especially now during COVID, is that our solution that is first for start as a navigation tool, is also a community where what we do is that we connect companies with this community. We connect the hospital, we connect the city, we connect the retail company, so that they can reach this community in an accessible way, because having a disability, like a visual disability, you don't have a barrier if everything is digitally accessible. You have the barrier when that is not digitally accessible. So we're trying to reduce that barriers and help companies connect with this community through this app, and then create new opportunities. So we have companies that sell products within the app. They provide job opportunities, and that changes from country to country, because what it does is it's more smart. So depending on your locality, you can receive those information more accurate. So yeah, that's what we do, and I think we have a long way to go from here.
So in the end, it's the user is downloading an app. It's free to the user?
Yeah, definitely totally free. It's both on Android and iOS. And what we do is that we work with different institutions, and then they have subscription plans so they can join the community. So we have plans that allows a startup to join the community. So as a huge corporation that is a bank, for example, that we have already worked with, that can join too. Yeah, that's how we sustain and grow this model.
And there's obviously a lot of talk right now about diversity, inclusion, and this is such an easy way for an organization to increase its diversity and inclusion, and to support the community in a better way, or in a more inclusive way, by providing access, which actually benefits the company as well.
Yeah, in a way, it's funny that just providing access to buy your services and all that, it can be actually seen as a social impact solution. Because if you create more opportunities, especially now during COVID, website accessibility is key, and many websites are not accessible. One of the things of course, we're encouraging people to improve their websites, but what we are also doing is that, why don't you connect also your services through the app and do something right now, right? And help this community don't need to go out, but actually buy through the app in a format that is better for them.
Well, I tell you, at Leading Cities, we look at smart city solutions in a broad sense, but we always maintain the fact that it has to be human-centric. I can't think of a more human-centric solution than just allowing somebody to easily navigate their community. But it also occurs to me that the amount of information and data that you have to provide this service is valuable in other ways. Do you find that there's an opportunity for that information to be shared to create an even smarter city?
Yeah, definitely. And we are exploring some of those use cases right now. For example, as people use this app, we in a way also are creating more information about how people move through a city. And with that information, for example, for smart mobility solutions, that sometimes, for example, e-scooters, there is a huge issue that sometimes people with disabilities they find a badly parked e-scooter because someone just left it there and they are blocked, right? So, I mean, that's not so smart, right? Those things can happen if you set the parking spot without clear information, because companies don't want that to happen, but they don't sometimes have the data. So as we have this information on how people move, we can also provide heat map, for example, where smart mobility solutions can have a smarter way to decide where people can park, and also get like a connection with this community, how they're impacting them, or if there's no issue. Hopefully there's no issue, right?
Right.
And so that's one option, but we see a lot of ways. So how you decide where to improve the accessibility of your city. You have a lot of street crossings, right? This is a huge amount, hopefully everywhere, but if you don't have the budget, like, you need to decide so where you can do a better impact. I think there's a lot of possibilities of using the data in a smart, and also keeping privacy. Of course, that is one of the huge important for us, but actually have aggregated data that helps you make decisions as a city.
Well, this is fantastic. Now, I'm going to ask you, I ask all of our guests on Preview of Tomorrow, thinking 10, 20, 30, 50 years out from now, Lazarillo is pervasive. It's everywhere. Anybody who needs it is using it. What is that user experience? What is that impact on the world because of Lazarillo?
So our end goal is this. So what we believe is that if we can help someone improve their independence, they can then we can connect them to opportunities. They can take action to increase their wealth and well-being. If you increase wealth and well-being of people all over the world, you improve wealth and well-being of the whole world, because they also impact their families, their friends. And currently, these barriers that doesn't allow independence, and that's why the usability of Lazarillo is really wide open, in which that you can use it to go to parties, to go to work, because independence allows you to develop as a human being. If you depend on somebody else, I mean, you always depend on somebody else, and that person can get tired. I mean, you need to control your life, and that's what we believe. And if we do that, and the future I see is that, in a way, we will be creating new jobs, new opportunities that never happened before. Companies will be benefit too, because they now have people in their workforce that can improve more access to more communities, so that we can create a cycle that improves wealth and well-being all over. That's what I want. And the user experience, I think, will be transversal in many areas, from going to buy to something, to go out to tourism, to search for a new job. All those things we're trying to connect right now, and we're doing it, and we have seen a lot of improvements of people's lives and improve of their wealth.
Well, listen, I want to thank you not only for joining us here today on Preview of Tomorrow, but for all of the work, compassion and commitment, dedication you have for this issue and for the community at large, and its incredible impact and providing greater access for those who need it and deserve it. I have a friend who once said that it's great that rising tides lift all boats, so long as you're in a boat. So I want to thank you for making sure that those amongst us who have visual impairments have a way to get in the boat and rise with this smart city tide. So thank you so much. We look forward to your continued success. But let me ask you one last question. If people want to learn more, or download Lazarido, or connect with you, how do they do so?
Yeah, sure. So they can go in Google Play or App Store and search Lazarido app, or our website is lazarillo.app, and my email is rene@lazarillo.app. So please feel free to email us or go into our website. We have much information on how businesses can connect, and also for users to download the app and know about the functionalities.
Wonderful, Rene. Thank you so much. Very best of luck to you. We're so grateful for your participation in joining us today.
Thank you so much, Michael.
And thank you for tuning in to this episode of Preview of Tomorrow. Listeners like you are essential to advancing our efforts to drive resiliency and sustainability for all. I ask that you give us a rating on Apple Podcasts or whichever streaming platform you prefer. Your feedback helps us to grow and share these brief previews of what life in the future can be. In addition to thanking our guest today, I want to thank Peter Roy and Demetria Bridges for making this podcast possible. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and encourage others to also join us each week in previewing the possibilities of tomorrow.
Preview of Tomorrow is brought to you by Leading Cities, a global nonprofit driving resilience and sustainability for all by unleashing the potential of the world's cities. Join them at leadingcities.org.